Alright, so Maul Shadow Lord has their new episodes out, and guys, these two were the best episodes of the season so far. It's not even close. This is actually some of the best storytelling I've seen in Star Wars animation. I mean, you take one character, Maul, take a villain, someone who has no redeemable qualities, someone who is hell-bent on revenge. That's his one story for pretty much the entirety of Clone Wars. And give him a show of his own, and in these episodes, you start to feel sad for him. He becomes a traumatic character, someone you can't help but root for, someone that now fans are sort of surrounding the character in hopes that his death in Rebels will somehow be retconned or changed or altered in some form or fashion, just because that's not the ending that we want for this character anymore. I mean, yes, to die to Obi-Wan Kenobi is fitting for Maul, but in this show, his character has evolved so much beyond just wanting revenge against Obi-Wan. I mean, it's still revenge driven, but there's so much more of a deeper meaning to how and why and for what cause this go around than his storyline he had in the Clone Wars. And he's quickly become a fan favorite. He was a fan favorite based off of the Phantom Menace alone because of the cool badass fight he was in. Clone Wars, he became a fan favorite because Sam Witwer put so much heart and soul into the character. His acting performance was just absolutely phenomenal. 10 out of 10. Can't imagine anyone else playing Maul in animated other than Sam Witwer. And so now in this show, he's more of a fan favorite because of the traumatic story. They were able to spin it in a way where you feel emotional for Maul. And that's something I didn't think was even possible. I couldn't have thought of how that story could even be imagined in my mind, but somehow they did it. So these two episodes, the first one is more action-packed than the second, for sure. There's a lot of fighting, and it's mostly on Maul's part between him and his Mandalorian forces and the Empire/Inquisitors. And that's another thing. If we have to talk about the Inquisitors, we have to talk about Marek. I mean, I'm a fan of Ahsoka in terms of generally speaking. I'm not the biggest fan of the TV show. That's just because the Clone Wars fan in me likes her character best as Anakin's apprentice. On her own, I feel like in the show, the transference from animated to live action, it's just sort of the same problem with the sequels, I think, where the lightsaber fights look slow, it didn't look as good, the movement was just, I don't know, it just didn't really feel the way Ahsoka was. And I get it, she's older, and there's a whole different timeline and all that. But I would hope that they could have at least got an actress or just use a stunt double or someone who can do the really cool looking fights. And in Ahsoka, they just didn't look the way they could have, because, I mean, look at the prequels. It came out 20 years ago, and those are the fights that people still compare everything to. And it's 20 years data technology. So the reason I mention Ahsoka, because Mark is in Ahsoka, and he basically did nothing. He just dies, he turns to mist. We still don't know what happened to him or what he really is. But in the show, he's almost like, he speaks, but he's almost like this sort of background, shadowy presence. He's very much got the vibes. He's actually cool. He's intimidating, and I think when it comes down to it, he's just better written. He's just better written in the show. And it's the same thing for the Crow. I know some of Hasbro's packaging for the Crow, this Inquisitor's called the Crow. He hasn't been called that in the show yet. I don't know if that's going to be his official name or if that's like his product code name for the Black Series figures or the Funko Pop or whatever, but he hasn't really done a lot, but he did make his debut in this episode. The Crow did. And these Inquisitors are actually doing damage to Maul. And it's really cool to see because it makes Maul feel not so untouchable as sometimes these characters can feel in their own shows. But I think it just made the fighting look good. And plus, seeing two characters with double-blade lightsabers fight against each other, I mean, it's kind of a first. It's really cool to see that sort of thing. And so, for the first episode, we do see one of the other two brothers, Icarus and Scorn, I believe are their names, and I can't remember which is which. But one of them did perish to an Inquisitor trying to assist Maul. So the one surviving Night Brother now has a fallen brother. And so Maul sees that, and you can tell he feels that guy's pain because that's what's happened to him. And the Inquisitors are facing him down. They kind of beat up Maul's leg, and he's doing the fake surrender thing. The Inquisitors tell him there's no surrender. The Emperor wants you dead. And that line of dialogue continues to play through Maul's head for the rest of this episode and the next one. And it's personal for Maul. Maul just yells likewise and brings the ceiling down on the Inquisitors. So of course, they all survive. The Inquisitors survive. Maul survive. Everyone survives this. But it's the act of Emperor is taking no chances with Maul. You know, on a Mandalore in Clone Wars, he took Maul alive. In Clone Wars, Ahsoka was sent to go capture Maul alive. But now, there's no arrest for Maul anymore. Now, he's just being hunted like the rest of the Jedi. He's essentially been looped in with the rest of the Jedi. And so, that is where all the action sort of comes to a close in this first episode. Going to the second, Maul gets sort of these flashbacks. Now, Maul's part of the story is a slow burn in the second episode. Most of the action comes with Two Boots and Lawson and Docky and Devin. They're all trying to get Riley out of the police station pretty much and trying to get to the ship that I think Sul is her name. She is, and it turns out the Empire's using her to try to lure them into getting captured. But this group, they're trying to get Riley out so they can get him to the ship and leave the planet. All the while, Maul's forces are debating whether or not they should wait around for Maul to see if he survived or not, because they don't know if he's alive at this point. And so, for Captain Lawson, they do end up getting Riley back. Two Boots finally sides with them. And there's a lot of fighting and a lot of really cool displays of the Force between Docky and Devin, which is really cool to see them just openly use their powers, because you have rebels, they don't want to use the Force at times, so to see Docky and Devin just use it whenever they can, it's just really cool because it makes the action feel revved up and more intense. So in the end, they do walk into a trap, but they end up escaping through the elevator hatch because they sense something's wrong, where the Inquisitors are there to face them. Sul attacks the ship, attacking and killing, presumably killing, the Imperial forces surrounding this place, minus the Inquisitors, of course. So going back to Maul for the second episode, this is where everything gets tragic. There's a little bit of a retcon between the Plagueis book. I didn't personally read it, but I know a lot about it. I've seen so many Star Wars fans post videos describing either chapters or storylines or just plots from the book. I know Maul was taken as an infant in the book. In this show, we see Sidious actually took Maul as presumably a teenager or a young child. And another thing that isn't a retcon, but is an interesting detail, I think, Savage actually makes his his return, debut, as I call it, ever since he was killed by Sidious, in the form of a flashback. He's not back from the dead, but to see him at all again, it was emotional. It was really cool. He was one of the most badass characters Star Wars, I think, has ever had, personally. So to see him in these flashbacks as a teenager with Maul, basically, they were strong with the Force. Sidious just wanted Maul. So it almost begs a question, did he take Maul just to rip him away from Savage? Why didn't he take Savage? I know there's the only one apprentice, but did he know that the two of them would be stronger together? So did he take Maul just to separate the two of them? I don't know. So in this flashback, we see him training Maul, and Maul ends up seeing through the puddle of the water, the sewage water, whatever it is on the ground. He sees his younger self is still in that shame and that pain and in that suffering from being ripped from his family and ripped from his childhood and ripped from the destiny he was promised by Palpatine. And as Maul finally sheds tears to his younger self, he basically tells him it's okay. I think this represents him letting go of all of that pain he had. And he basically tells the younger self, I'm not going to let Palpatine do this to anyone else. So his shift now goes to Palpatine. His mission is to destroy the Empire, not because he's trying to just knock out a kill list. He honestly wants to bring the Empire down. So now we finally have a reason to root for him. I mean, he's the guy you just hate to love to hate, whatever you want to call it, before, because he was the villain before. But now that he's this tragic character, I mean, I'm very much invested in his storyline and his character development now more than ever. I mean, the writing in this episode was so incredibly done. To be able to be on the verge of tears over Darth Maul, of all characters. So it's a testament to Dave Filoni. It's a testament to Sam Witwer's performance. It's a testament to the writing. Everything about the show, in my opinion, is 10 out of 10. I mean, I've not been bored yet. I mean, characters like Master Docky, Lawson, that we saw in the trailer that we assumed would be side characters, they are getting more storyline than I personally expected from them. Rook Cass has more screen time than I expected from her. The show is giving us more of what we want and more than I think we expected or felt that we were owed or promised. I mean, this show is just delivering, period. I think that's why I am absolutely in love with the show so far. I'm glad we're getting another season. I'm glad we're going to see these stories continue. I mean, the idea of Maul being the villain of the sequel timeline sounded so interesting, but now I think the idea of him fighting the Empire, siding with rebels, or siding with, Saw Gerrera, or any of these rebel extremists, or maybe Cal Kestis, there's so much opportunities for Maul right now. It's insane. There's so many different storylines they could go with. Everyone's going to have their own opinion because there's not really one path forward for this character at this point. There's so many paths. So I'm just excited to see where it goes. I'm fully invested into this show and these characters. So let me know what you think. This was the best one yet. And if you're a fan of Clone Wars or Maul or Jedi or lightsaber fights or the Empire or Inquisitors, this is all for you because this show is doing us such a big service, giving us, I think, what many of us have been asking for years. Good lightsaber fights, great storytelling, and honest and emotional character development. Everything that I think makes a great show great. All those key ingredients are in Maul Shadow Lord. So, thanks for watching. Till next time, can't wait to review the next episode. That's all I got.